Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video on the TARDIS Zone. This is my review of Child's Play 2019. Now, as a fan of the original trilogy, I did like Bride of Chucky, but then after that it kind of went a bit crap. But I do like the original trilogy. Bride of Chucky was made in the 90s. No, was made later on, and it was more, they put a bit of comedy humor in it. It wasn't like the first three original that had the kind of horror theme. Well, especially the first two. The third one was okay. It wasn't the greatest movie in the world, but it was still better than what they're producing now. So basically, this is Child's Play for today's generation. That's the best way I could put this. It starts off with the head of the Kazlan corporation talking about their dolls. Um, and what happens then is we get to see the work factory, right? And what happens is it's obviously like one of those sweatshops. It's an illegal place, a Chinese place, right? And what happens is, right, and this is absolutely stupid, by the way. I was I didn't get scared once watching this movie. I will say I was impressed with the deaths. I don't like Chucky. I don't like the new looking Chucky, I have to say. Mark Hamill himself as Chucky wasn't bad. The one thing that annoyed me was that stupid Buddy song, right? All the way through. It's just ridiculous, right? I'll get into it because there is some clever things in the movie, right? I'm not saying there wasn't, but it was a child's play for today's generation, right? So basically, what happens is this Chinese worker is working on the dolls, and he's daydreaming a little bit, and his boss comes over and clatters him in the face, right? So we're to assume that this worker has been abused for months or whatever it is that leads him to do this. So basically, what he does is he takes the safety protocols off the buddy doll, the doll that's going to become Chucky, right? And then he ends up committing suicide, right? So the box gets shipped off, right? Now, I hear people say that this was an enjoyable horror romp, right? It wasn't a horror, right? Um, so basically the idea behind this new Chucky doll is this Chucky doll updates to your cloud. Yeah, it gets all the information, scans you, and basically is an AI that's basically can be taught. But the thing about it is, because your man knocked off the safety protocols, the doll now picks up on negative things. Now, I will say that I did like the fact that they showed how the Chucky doll learned how to stab people and learned how to be violent. Because the kid, now Andy in this one, right? I didn't like the fact that Andy in this one was older, and his mother in this movie was a bit of a slut. Now, what I mean by that is you'll notice in the movie that anytime Andy came into the apartment, right, the mother's boyfriend, who actually turns out to be a married man, you'll find out later on in the movie, right? But every time Andy walks in the door, he's there fixing his trousers and buttoning up his trousers. So they've made it very clear in the movie that this woman, that Andy's mother, is basically, she throws herself about, right? Now, it's with the same fella, but it's a married man. But she doesn't realise that she's being tricked by him, right? But what happens is Andy basically. Sorry about Ted. This is for some weird reason lately, Ted has been on edge because of the fireworks and stuff, and he just keeps growling for some weird reason. So I'm sorry about the dog in the background, but because I've lost my train of thought now. But um, yeah. So basically, what happens is that this fella brings this Chucky doll back to the store, and Andy's ma happens to be working in this store, and it's a rip off of Kmart, basically, right? And brings the doll back. So she brings the doll back to the back of the shop, and she goes to the lad. She basically says, "What happens that returns and all?" He says, "Well, we send them back to the company, and then they usually just destroy them." So she starts using a bit of flirting to get this doll off your man, and she basically says, how's your wife?" And then he just hands her the doll, and then she brings her home to Andy. Now, this doll, obviously, because it's had the safety protocols taken off, it's a bit glitchy, right? But eventually, then you get the doll working. But the Andy in this is not as young as the Andy in the original movie. The mother also is a lot younger in this movie, and as I said, is a bit of a slut. That's just the best way to put it. Um, um, a few things that I noticed. Now, it didn't bother me. The cop in this movie was black, right? And he lived with his mum. And I had no problem with that because they were actually my favourite two characters in it because he was still living at home with his mother, right? And the few little scenes that the two of them are in are brilliant, right? Now, what I'll say is there's a bit of a what happens is in the middle, and I'm trying to think back of what happened last night. So basically, what happens is they're sitting down. Andy makes new friends because he doesn't like the Ma's new boyfriend. He has a conversation with the copper because the copper says, "What are you doing out in the hall?" Blah blah. Then he realizes. Then the mother comes down. He realizes that there's kind of something up, and he goes, "You're more than welcome to come into my house anytime and have dinner." Blah blah blah. Right. What happens is Chucky then ends up playing with him. They become buddies and all, and they show a little scene where they're getting on great, and then they're watching movies, right? And Andy is being bullied, you see, right? What happens is Chucky sees this, and obviously the Chucky doll, he's memorizing all this and he's adapting every time, right? Now I didn't mind that, right? The only problem that I have is I don't know why they had to go away from the original origin story. But I could understand for this movie why they did. The problem that I have is that it has to be highly intelligent, and also you really have to get it spot on for it to work. Now there is a montage where the kids are all watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Chucky is there and he's watching it, right? So what happens is who's the first one to yeah. So the fourth incident with Chucky is when the cat attacks Andy. And while Andy has gone into the bathroom to clean it up, he comes in to find that Chucky actually has the cat by the neck and is choking the cat. Basically tells him to put the cat down, but he kills the cat. Right, I had to say it loud because Sharon doesn't like stuff like that. So he kills the cat. Right, so Andy covers it up, right? So then Chucky starts getting more and more possessive and starts getting more and more violent. So the next target of Chucky's then is obviously the Ma's boyfriend. Now that death scene is brilliant. I have to admit, right, the death scenes in it are great, right? But it wasn't like jump or anything like that, jump scares or anything like that. So he kills the York, and then what he does is he gets the boyfriend's face and he puts it in Andy's room. And Andy goes to the bathroom and he walks past it, and then he realizes he comes back in and then he starts screaming, he asks him why he did it, and he goes, I'm your buddy for life and all this stuff, right? And then starts singing oh man. Right, listen. So to finish this up, right, because I don't want to go too much into it, right? Mark Hamill as Chucky, I've no problem with, right? I still don't know why it wasn't Brad, to be honest with you. But fair enough, they went with Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was fine in the movie. I didn't like the Buddy song, it annoyed me, right? I won't go through every death scene in it and every little detail. All I'll say is this, is that if they were trying to reimagine this movie for today's audience, well, they'd probably be okay with it. But for me, being a long-term Chucky fan, a Child's Play fan, I should say, because it's never Chucky, it was Child's Play. Um, it it felt a lot like it was too simple. Now I know the premise for the original movie was kind of simple enough. Serial killer, you know, uh, possesses himself into a doll, does voodoo shit. We even go and see our man's house and all. It's all explained, you know what I mean? In this movie, I felt that there wasn't anything complicated in it because they wanted to make it a simple premise, as because I just think today's audiences, and I'm sorry, are just not clever enough to pick up on things. Um, I mean, the scene, I will say, the scene in the supermarket where all the buddy dolls, different buddy dolls, come to life is great. Um, but I'm struggling here because I'm a Child's Play fan and I really wanted to like this movie, but I have to say it's bar the deaths in it and bar a few little scenes with the cop and his mother. And look, I didn't mind the Andy that they had in this. I didn't mind the kid that they had in it. I just think they should have stuck to the origin story. I really do. I know they wanted to kind of reimagine it for today's audiences, but today's audiences, quite frankly, are a bunch of dopes, right? They don't know what clever bleeding horror is if they hit them in the face. And to be honest with you, Child's Play 1 is an absolute brilliant movie. It scared the crap out of you. They tried too hard, in my opinion, in this movie. The deaths, as I said, were great, right? But there was no, the build up to me wasn't good enough. It just felt flat, this whole movie. It just, and I mean, how many died? There's one, then there's, hold on, there's there him, and then there's the cop's ma, and then there's the creepy fella that looks, I think it's Jack Black in it. He looks like him. He's a creepy little pervert that's spying on Andy's ma and other people in the complex. He's the janitor or something, or he's the guy that fixes everything, or the building manager. It doesn't really even explain. He just looks like a little pervert. Again, I liked the fact that Chucky could control cars and stuff like this because obviously everything is updated to the cloud and all and goes through this company, as I said, Kazlan and Industries. And but I just look, I give the original one. I give the original one, out of 10, I'd give the original one a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. You know, this one, I wouldn't even rate over 5. There were some good elements to it. Even though they abandoned the origin story, I could understand what they were trying to do, but it just didn't work for me. I think it was a failure. Um, again, I think it's just time to leave it. I mean, even the way he dies is pathetic. Andy stabs him in his CPU in the heart, and then like he starts trying to sing the buddy song again, and then he jumps up at him with the knife, and then the cop comes in because you think the cop is dead. He comes in and then he shoots him. It's like, but it doesn't have the same impact as it did in the original because when he got shot in the heart, you seen the blood. There was no blood, no nothing. It just didn't work for me because Chucky wasn't alive. That's the thing. That's the biggest gripe I actually have with this movie. The fact that they abandoned the origin story. I'm sorry, but you could have made this movie with the same cast, with the origin story, and made it far more interesting. I'm not saying that the ideas that you had weren't good. They were. It was just they were. It just you abandoned the origin story. In my opinion, it's not a Chucky movie. As someone said to me last night, this would have worked if it was called something else other than Child's Play, right? And it had it been about a demented AI that went mad. Would have bought it. It would have worked, right? But not as a no. I'm sorry, you don't abandon the origin story, and that's what happened. And I'm sorry for this movie. As I said, I wouldn't rate it any more over 5, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna give it a 4. Andy's, but the kid that played Andy, no problem with his performance. Even his mother didn't bother me. The cop didn't bother me. As I said, his mother didn't bother me. None of the cast bothered me in this movie. It was the story that let them down. And I'm being honest, it was so basic, the plot, that a 3-year-old could write this plot. There was no thought really gone into it. Oh, what can we do? Well, everybody's into iPhones and tablets and all this. Let's make a doll that connects to the cloud and goes crazy. And that's not original. I'm sorry, but should have stuck with the origin story. So I'm gonna give it. I said I wouldn't rate it under 5, but I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. This movie for me is not worth watching. And the Buddy song will irritate the crap out of you. Um, if you're gonna watch it, if you're gonna watch it, um, all I'll say is that it's not a scary movie. Well, in my eyes, it's not. It didn't scare. There was no jump scare scenes like there was in the original. It didn't do anything for me. So yeah, right. It's no. It's just quit now. Just quit. Just quit. No more. No more. Please, no more. It's done. It's done. And that's it, folks. That is my review for Child's Play 2019. I know I didn't go into too much detail. I might do a more in-depth review if everybody likes this one. If you want a more in-depth review, I will do one. Just let me know in the comment section below. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope to do more because there is a lot of movies that I have to get through. I also want to do a review of the Joker movie as well and get that out there. As I said, if you haven't seen the Joker movie, go out and support this movie. I'm going to go and watch this movie myself. I can't wait to go and see it. It's going to be absolutely epic. I always like to wait to near the end of the run when the cinema is kind of empty, where I can have it to myself, you know. So yeah, that's me. Right, listen, folks. I'll talk to you all later. I did say I was going to be doing a live stream at 8. I might leave it till 9. I didn't even realise there was a Republic of Ireland match on. My national team is playing in soccer, and I absolutely forgot all about it. So I want to actually at least watch the first half. So I will be on tonight. It'll just be a little bit later than I thought. I'll put the live chat up. You'll know when I put the live chat up. I'll be on literally an hour after the live chat goes up. So have a look out for the live chat. I'll talk to you all soon. Good night.